I'm Danny Campos with DC Productions, and I'll be the guest on tonight's El Paso Creatives podcast. I'll be talking about videography, photography, content creation, and online marketing.
Great. Awesome, Danny. So just so the audience who's listening, tell us a little bit about you, what you are, how you've grown in it, things like that.
I got my start, I would say, growing up. I liked cameras, I liked taking pictures. Um, but as an adult, I joined the Army when I was 20. I came to El Paso in 2006, where I completed my training, and I stayed here till 2010 as an active duty soldier, and then I got out January 2010 is when I started school for cinematic production at El Paso Community College.
Yeah.
And then by December 2011, I received my Associate of Arts for cinematic production. And that same year, I started my business where it was just doing videography at first. But then slowly, as I got my experience up editing videos, I decided maybe I should try giving photography a chance.
Yeah.
I did manage to take a photography class in the community college where I got to work in the dark room. I don't know if it's still there,
Hmm.
but I know it was a fun experience, and I got to work with film, process images in the dark room, get to have an understanding of how the chemicals work and how to time everything for the images to come out at the right exposure. Um, and slowly but surely, I moved over from doing just videos to doing videos and photography. And now I focus more on photography just because it's easier. Working with videos with just myself, it does take a lot of my time versus like photography. It's easy to load everything up and edit and then export versus like a video, you have to wait for the time for it to load
Hmm.
up, wait for the time to export, wait for the time to load again. And it's just like, one 5-minute video can take the whole day,
Yeah.
like that, where it's just so time consuming. Like it is part of what I do, and I do offer those services um, as DC Productions, where before it was just videos. Now it's photos, videos, and then the online marketing and creating
Hmm.
content for other platforms. Like right now for Border Town Underground,
Yeah.
there's a couple of posters up right now that they're using of my photos that I had taken before. So it's pretty cool being a part of the creative community here in El Paso, at least for the last, since 2011.
Yeah.
So about 10 years I've been active in the community here. It started with, what was it called? La Parada downtown,
Yeah. Hmm.
just being exposed to like that whole art community, and then slowly getting into the business aspect of the marketing. And it's just been like nonstop growth and learning uh, these last 5 6 years on online marketing.
Hmm.
It is, I would say, one of those things that as a photographer and videographer, if you do not have like the insight to start doing online marketing, it's good to invest in the research to see how changing over from just doing photography and videography, how well online marketing can, it helps bring in more clientele because you're able to offer more services.
Right.
And with those services, you're able to create your portfolio and to look for more clients, different clients, or, if you have your niche that you're continuing to make content for, to just keep working doing that. I know that for me, I'm kind of all over the place, and it's mostly because, like I said, the niche is pretty much like the art community, and then
Mhm.
like the clients that I do find, it's been through the same community, and knowing other people. Networking is a huge part of it. So um, when it comes to doing marketing, I would say that the trickiest part is just to be like the type that reaches out to other people, because
Yeah.
I tend to be kind of shy, where it's like I don't want to have to make like cold calls and stuff, and it's just like a personal thing where I have to get myself out of my comfort zone and
Mhm.
make phone calls. Where like networking in person is a lot different. I think it's easier for me
Yeah.
versus like on the phone, where I don't get to see the person face to face.
Hmm.
Um, But that's one of the things that I would say that starting with videography, moving over to the photography, and then doing the online marketing, it all kind of just like fell together.
Mm-hmm.
Like it slowly started seeping its way into what I was doing because it's all related. At the time when I first started out, I never would have thought that marketing should have been something else that I should have considered.
Yeah.
But now it's one of those things where if you are a photographer and you don't do online marketing, you're not you're not capitalizing on how much either income or clients you can get, because
Exactly.
at the end it's just how can you support yourself, can you support your lifestyle and things like that,
Mm-hmm.
whereas working a regular job does have the security of, you know, you will have your paycheck every 2 weeks or every week or every month or whatever,
Yeah.
versus like working on your own, that it is tough, it's not easy. But I would always, you know, keep that challenge there to keep my mind open, to keep learning, and to keep investing in myself, where it's paid off for sure. The last 4 years where I started really digging into the marketing, it's been such a long process just because it's not one of those things that you need to study for every day. It's just like every other day or like once a week. It's like, okay, so I'm going to look at this video, or I'll watch like a video a day of different content creators that do online marketing
Yeah.
to get their different perspectives and being more creative. It's hard. It's sometimes for me, it's kind of hard to like get creative. Like I'll have my days where it's just like, oh, like today I don't feel like doing anything. But
Mm.
then there's the other days where I can come up with like two or three different ideas, and at least one of them try to put one idea into place so that you can see where it goes. Online marketing, it can be simple and it can be very complicated at the same time, especially if
Right.
you have a client who kind of has an idea of what they want, but then they're not sure based on like vocabulary. Sometimes they don't know the right words. They'll try to tell you like, you know, I want the camera to do this, or you know, this kind of thing. Or it's like, you know, you kind of get a little frustrated because they don't
Yeah.
understand the terminology or whatever. But you kind of
Mm.
get through it, and I would recommend for sure like taking notes all the time just to help organize your thoughts and ideas.
Yeah.
Having a couple notebooks, you know, to write down some like for me, one of the things that like ideas that I come up with are ways of helping other people. You know, what kind of services can I provide? What else can I do to expand myself personally
Right.
and to help my clients? Um, and right now, I mean, El Paso is a very unique area.
Yeah.
The whole El Paso Juarez geography here, it is very unique, and I would say it's not a tough market to crack. It's just it takes commitment and perseverance to be able to make it here.
Right.
Because you have to worry about, you know, the people from Juarez coming over to compete with you, and sometimes that takes a toll on how much you want to make. That was my
Yeah.
biggest thing, was truly understanding the market here. Um, a lot of people are willing to pay, but not a lot of people are willing to um, you know, work something out, where it's like a lot of the times that people would say, well, that's too expensive, you know, over here it's a lot cheaper. You just have to double down on yourself and just, you know, either take the hit, drop your price, or look somewhere else. And it's just one of those things that this year's been so hard on all businesses. It's kind of like, well, you gotta take what you can get right now, and that's kind of how it's been the whole year. And I guess just being determined and
Yeah.
creative enough to find new ways of getting out there or collaborating, networking for sure. It's like the biggest part of it.
Yeah.
If you
And
cannot network, then it's going to be hard to find work.
yeah, and I agree with you. Like networking is a very important part. Like I think we mentioned before, is like if you ever want to like grow your business or get it to a point where you want to reach, you gotta talk to other people. You gotta work with other people. You know, you gotta communicate, things like that, collaborate. I like how you mentioned that. Another big part is for me is like you gotta make yourself a salesperson. And I've been learning this is like everybody's a salesperson, you know, whether you're going to
Mhm.
go out to with tweet with your friend to go convince him to go eat the same thing, something else that you want to eat, and they want to go somewhere. You're selling to your friend to convince him to go to the place you want to go to. It's
Yeah.
everything in life is
Yeah.
selling. And I like how you mentioned the whole, you got to teach yourself and teach yourself and teach yourself. I mean, for me, it's like YouTube. YouTube is there. It's a free platform. You can learn so much. It's like YouTube's a free university. And
Yeah.
you could self teach yourself there. And I also like how you mentioned, like, just experiment with different things. Like, just go out there and try something and try something. If it doesn't work out, at least you learn from it. But you just got to get out there and exercise. I mean, not exercise, experiment.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. I would say that when I first started out, and it's kind of interesting because I was not expecting to be offered the jobs that I got offered, which
Right.
was the promo for Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. And you'll be surprised to find out who's on Craigslist.
Right.
I got offered two decent jobs thanks to Craigslist, when I first started out. I haven't been using Craigslist a lot lately. Like, I can't remember the last time I made a post on there,
Yeah.
but I was very surprised to see that there were big name people on Craigslist looking for local people to do work. The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo was my first job for a promo for anything, actually, when I first started videography,
And
and
how
they
was that for
wanted
you?
pictures. It was interesting. So I made a post posted on Craigslist about videographer. They
Mm-hmm.
messaged me asking me if I could take photos and if I would be willing to be interested in a movie promotion for Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, the American version. And at first I was like, is this real?
Yeah, you're
I
just like,
couldn't I couldn't put it together where I was like, oh, so this is real, until I gave them my information because they needed my address, and I was just kind of like, whatever. This is the first time I'm doing this. If it's a scam, I'll find out, and let's just go through that way. But
yeah.
no, they sent me a package of the prizes. There was a prize for winning the scavenger hunt here in El Paso, which was there's a scene in the movie where they're looking at some photos, they're trying to find some evidence, or at least something related to the case. And the
Mm-hmm.
pictures that they looked at from like a very small, like quick scene where it was like 3 seconds long, they have like these pictures, and those pictures were the prize for the scavenger hunt, and also a framed magazine of Daniel Craig. I
Mm-hmm.
swear I don't remember if it was signed or not, but the fact that they were doing this promotion for this movie and they had asked me to help be a part of it, I was excited and at the same time like in awe of just something as simple as a Craigslist post got me that job. And then shortly after, probably like 2 or 3 months later, I got a phone call for a production company in Dallas asking for a videographer to record just a half-hour show with Troy Aikman talking about the economy, budgeting, finances, money information, and like what do they call it? I'm not one of those guys. Like a financial.
Accountants, is it? No, right?
I forgot.
Yeah.
But basically, it comes down to that it was a show that was on TV in Texas, and it was just like a 20-minute long, 25-minute long show, and all I had to do was just record and walk around the house. But when they got back to me, they had asked me if I would be willing to uh, travel, and I said that I would be. It's just that the problem was it was in Dallas, and being in El Paso, it's just too much time that for them it was going to be too much of a risk. So they just were like, "Oh, well, I'm sorry, we'll have to pass up the opportunity to somebody locally."
Yeah.
And then in my head, I was just like, "Well, that's kind of cool. Like, I posted this ad here, and people are looking at it in Dallas."
And they saw it,
And
yeah, especially Troy Aikman, that thing, yeah.
yeah, something as cool as that, where, like I said, for myself personally, when I first started videography, it's to I like movies. I like that stories become movies, and movies are a way of making your dreams come true. And
Yeah.
that was just one of those things where I was like, man, it would have been a cool job, but because you it was one of those things where they were like, okay, well, we need somebody closer. It made me understand that there is a special market in El Paso, but there's also a much bigger market if you go to another like bigger city,
Yeah.
uh, even as far out as Dallas, because I mean, I was willing to relocate. It was just one of those things where like they didn't want to take a chance, in case if I don't make it. on time or whatever, and it's totally understandable. Um, and let's see, I've had a few clients where like they're good clients for like a year or two,
Hmm.
and that's one of those things that as a online marketer and content creator, those are the kind of clients you want, the ones that do like your work and they enjoy what you do for them.
Like
And
reoccurring clients, yeah. Hmm.
yeah, so they'll stick around for a while, and those are the kind of clients that are highly sought after, especially in the marketing game, because it's hard to keep people uh, hooked onto your work, because there's always somebody else that they could find that'll do it just a tiny bit cheaper. Where I mean, it's not that bad, but it is bad enough where it's like those are the clients that you lose.
Yeah,
You got to keep looking. Um, but I will admit that the best source for looking for clients is the phone book.
really.
Um, everybody's numbers are on there. The
Not true.
business's numbers are on there, and one of the ways to find out if people are into online marketing is sometimes they'll have their website on the little details there. They'll have the website, and if they don't have a website, um, as a person who provides services for online marketing, creating the small websites like oh boy, what are they called? I can't believe I forgot them right now. But Wix and the other one,
Squarespace.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So being able to do those kinds of things where it doesn't take that much time, but you want to be able to provide those services also, um, and you can charge for that too. I mean, to build a Wix site is maybe like a few hours. You just got to
Hmm.
have the content, the photos, the videos of what you're trying to sell, and of course a good description or mission statement at the front of the page. And it doesn't really take that long. For a lot of people into photography and videography, online marketing, content creation, and there's one more, social media marketing.
Like brand
That's
management, yeah.
that's the uh, I would say that would be like the easiest thing to do is social media marketing.
Right.
Uh, for me, all I need to do is do a photo shoot, a small video shoot, and put it all together and post, and then start posting for them. Like sometimes they'll give me their credentials so that I can log into their social media so I can post for them.
Yeah.
And for me, I think that's one of the biggest things for a lot of people right now to get into is running social media or running uh, websites, being able to maintain them for businesses. Because a lot of people, especially people who run either restaurants or are into like sales for anything, clothing, toys, food, whatever.
Right.
You got to have good content. You got to have something that's going to catch people's eye, and that's one of the easier parts for a photographer or videographer to jump onto, as far as being able to have some work versus no work. Um,
Exactly. Yeah.
we can continue to write scripts for ourselves for our movies that we want, but if we don't get out there to look for clients that want to pay us, then we're not going to make any money,
Yeah.
working on our scripts, working on our screenplays, just so we can work on something later that ultimately is going to take more time away from us to be able to make money. Um,
Mhm.
so marketing has taught me how to, stay on top of what I'm already doing, and to
Mhm.
continue to expand myself as far as what I know today versus what I know tomorrow.
Yeah.
One thing for me right now is to get a drone. I've Since last year I've been looking at drones. It's just that technology's been so fast. It's like
Yeah.
the same drone today is not going to be the same drone that's like tomorrow.
It's
There's
like
going to
the
be a better
iPhones, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, things like that. But I don't know. Do you have any other questions? I'm trying to
Yeah.
stay on
No,
track here, but I'm like, there's so many
everything
other
you
things that
just
we can
gave
talk
is
about.
like very good. It's very informative. You know, it's a whole process of how to really keep a client and how to do about going online marketing and doing brand management, things like that. I wanted to ask you a question though, when you were talking about it, that was like, how would you go about pricing as an experienced online marketer and someone who's just coming up, and how would you hit up your clients? You know, how would you get new clients?
Well, it depends on what we're looking at. It depends on the content, I guess.
Hmm.
Um, if it's a client that just wants photos, that's a different package price. Or somebody who just wants videos, that's another price. But my marketing packages start at $300 a month,
Hmm.
and that's just like base range, one photo shoot, one video shoot, which will be a video up to 5 minutes. But that same 5 minute video, if you want to do five mini commercials, or like four mini commercials of like 30 seconds or a minute,
Yeah.
something like that also works. But like I said, for my packages, they start at 300 a month, and it's one photo shoot. We get like 15 images. If you want a video, it's like a 2 or 3 minute long video. I have other packages that go from like a month to month thing, or
Mhm.
like a 3 month package, a 6 months package, or if you want to do like a year. I recommend just starting out with the 3 months, because for marketing, you cannot expect results on something as short as like a month kind of campaign.
Right.
Uh, you want to run a good marketing campaign, you want to shoot for at least 3 months. The first month is just the creating the content, posting the content. The second month is to continuously push the content and making new content. You want to keep
Right.
your followers engaged. If you're a business and you put up like one post a week, you're barely getting yourself out there. But if you can post at least once a day, you just need one photo or just like a quick video of something. Um, that's all you need.
Mm.
And
I don't know
especially
if you've
with our
seen it.
phones.
There's like a I follow Gary Vee a lot. I don't know if you know Gary Vee.
Oh yeah,
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 so he has that whole 64 pieces a day content deck type of thing. That is something that I've implemented myself with El Paso Creatives, and that's what I'm trying to do right now. Like, us, I don't know if you've seen like those informative photography decks that I'm putting out now, like those
yeah,
slides, things
yeah.
like that. I'm trying to go more into that. And so even right now, like talking to you and like seeing talking about like what you do, I'm learning a lot too because we're actually in the process of like trying to make our brand and our online marketing more efficient. And
Hmm.
so all these things that are like you're talking about, it's very informative for anybody who's starting up a brand or a little business either way, you know.
Yeah,
But so I know, so let's talk about a little bit about you. So I know you also had a cool topic about the importance of color correction as well.
yeah, yeah. When I first started out, and like I said, I got a chance to start with experiencing in the dark room with the old film cameras. Uh, I can say how far the technology has come, where you couldn't color cast before. You couldn't color cast at all. Now it's like one of those things where if you don't understand color theory, I would suggest getting into it, because Lightroom and Photoshop, being the two biggest like common softwares that a lot of people use.
Yeah.
Adobe just updated their software to do color correction, which is a good thing, because they could only do the highlights and shadows before. Now they can do the midtones. Um, and for people that use Photoshop a lot for color casting, I guess you can kind of give Lightroom a second look now to do your color casting on there. I haven't seen it yet because I've been kind of on and off, and my
Mm.
computer's just been acting weird. So I gotta go through all my old files and clear a bunch of memory and stuff and get that thing going again, because it's been slow. And
Yeah.
it's one of those things where it's like, oh, the most important thing besides color casting, it would be to stay organized, have your
Yeah.
workflow smooth. Make sure you have at least one external that's big enough for your projects. Because once your computer starts slowing down, it's hard to
You're
bring it
losing
back to
time.
where it used to
Yeah.
be. Yeah, yeah. And that was the biggest thing that I learned was I didn't understand the importance of keeping my workspace organized and having an external, just
Hmm.
because I can save everything onto the external without slowing down my computer. And it
Yeah.
took me a while to figure that out. A couple of different errors here and there, but now it's like, okay, turn on the computer, upload the work, back it up, and then turn it off, and just continue to do that every time.
Right.
Um, but as far as the color correcting and the color casting, for me, it was the longest thing for me to learn, and then it was the most crucial thing for changing how much dramatic effect I wanted to add to my photos. Because for the longest time I was like, man, I don't know what's wrong with this picture, but I feel like I can do more with it.
Yeah.
If you don't play with the curves in Lightroom or Photoshop, you're missing out on a lot of fun and just mixing the colors to kind of make certain things pop out. Um, it's very important, especially with your subjects, because a lot of people, I notice a lot of people like to post good, clear, like great photography. It's just sometimes it's hard to pick out like which one's the subject or where's the subject because we want to look at like the whole thing.
Yeah.
Um, and the color correcting helps out a lot. Is if you have like a person, you want their skin to look warmer versus like the background to be cooler. You know, that's what the curves are for, to help you balance out your colors. If you have like, for me, I guess I like to call them flat colors. Like when I first pull out the images from the camera, they're not
Yeah.
as vivid as, you know, what it looks like
There's
through
a name
the.
for it. Yeah, I just can't remember it, but yeah, I
I
get it.
Yeah, me too. I totally forgot. Um, but yeah, I noticed that too. I was like, if you go into your settings in your camera, you can actually do a small
Like,
editing to your photos there. I know on my Nikon, there's like a special area in the menu where
well,
you
I am
can
lost
go
for words.
into
Yeah,
the
there's a name
color.
for it, but I'm lost for words on it. Yeah,
Yeah, I don't remember what it is right now either. I just know that
profiles, color profiles. I think.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that's important mainly because, like I said, if you want to highlight your subjects or highlight something else in the background to kind of stick out a little bit more, you can add just a tiny bit of color to it where it, it's hard. If I knew the word right now, I would use it. But what you see through the viewfinder and what you see through the LCD or the LED screen and what pops up on your computer are like two different things. And the color correcting comes. What I like to do first on editing is I'll go through all the sliders on Lightroom and just kind of work my way from the top to the bottom.
Yeah.
But I'll start at the top. I forgot what it's called. The main corrections, and then I'll go into the what is it called? Split toning and the curves
Yeah. So like
for
like the brightness and the clarity and the shadows and all that, like the basic corrections. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Because I know when I first started, it was like I didn't want to mess with anything else. I was just kind of more worried about how the picture's gonna look right now that it's on the computer. And I noticed that the colors were off and it looked
Mhm.
real flat. Um, but it took probably like 5 years to finally get used to everything. Color correcting came in like sort of last, just because even though it seems simple to understand,
Yeah.
if you don't work with the sliders enough to see what they do, then you don't understand the power of those sliders.
Hmm.
Um, what I would recommend is just to play around a little bit. You want to go back and forth. What I start off with is on the curves. I'll make the center dot, and then I'll make two more, and then as I
There's like
mess with
the
those, then I'll put more dots next to them so that when you first make the change, the curve will like kind of move around a bit on
Mhm.
you.
Yeah.
And if you put points on along the other side where it kind of moves, it'll stop it from doing that. So that way you can kind of work with the different color tones while
Yeah.
you're there.
Yeah. And so I know you also did. You went out of El Paso and you had an experience in Wisconsin, right? Um.
Yeah, yeah.
So how different was El Paso to Wisconsin, and like also like the market there? Before like I know you're doing the brand management, photography, and all that. How
Well,
different
it's
was the market?
definitely a lot different. People seem to have more of an understanding, like how it benefits businesses.
Mm-hmm.
Versus down here, people are still kind of like, oh well, like I would, but I don't want to, or like they just don't want to put that extra time or money into that aspect when their business is fine or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But what I learned is since this year it started, I've gone to Wisconsin twice, and each time I've learned that the market for the need of content creators, it's pretty high up there, mostly because like people want good quality work,
Yeah.
and good quality work for them, they'll pay for, and they're more than happy to fork out like $1,500, $2,000 for what over here some people would pay, just like I said, like 300 bucks.
Yeah.
You
And
know,
I
I'm
think
just
especially like here in or like anywhere actually now, like due to the whole like pandemic that's going on, more than ever, like digital marketing is needed because all these businesses are
Mhm.
closing down now again here in El Paso. So it's like you're jumping back to an online presence. And it's always
Yeah.
been the case, it's always been important, but now it's like it's even more important because that's where your
Mhm.
business is at now. It's an online presence. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say is that the first thing I heard at the end of the year last year was that this year was gonna be the year that online marketing gets like big.
It explodes. Yeah.
And I can see it too right now because a lot of the photographers that I was following before, they're starting to show a lot more work doing online marketing for businesses and things of that nature. And I think for myself, this year was a big eye opener year for online marketing because a lot of people finally understood what all the other businesses that were already on the online marketing campaigns have been, benefiting from. Now they want to get in on it. So it's just a matter of, is it affordable for them right now? And that's one of the things that's been it's been like the biggest downside to this year is that nobody's made as much money and everybody's income's been cut, to like a fraction of what it was before. So as an online marketer now and somebody who's trying to get out there right now, I don't want to say that doing free work is the only way to go, but I like to call it sample work where
It's
you
putting your
go
first foot
in.
in. Yeah.
You go into a shop. You tell them that you want to take photos and videos. You tell them what you're doing. Usually they'll say it's okay.
Yeah.
Sometimes they'll be like, no, I'm fine or whatever. But the ones that do, you just for me, it's like I walk in, take like 10 pictures, maybe a short video, like just come up with something kind of creative, and then show them that. If they choose to, say like, hey, we do like this, we want you to do it. That's like the end goal. But sometimes they'll say no. Sometimes they'll just be like, thanks for, helping out or whatever, but we don't need the services right now.
Yeah.
Um,
But even if you get a no, like you still have a portfolio that you built. Yeah.
yep, exactly. That's what's been my thing since I started is just building my portfolio. I have a lot of work, and having a lot of work, I have to organize everything so I can get my website going. By the end of this year, I want to have my website up so that I can start doing my business wherever I go. And because Instagram is good, it's good, but it's also not a website.
Yeah.
A lot of people still focus in on, do you have a website? How can we see, your work, your packages, how much do you charge, and all that. As good as a website. Instagram, they don't really have all that yet, but they've been adding tools like the business tools was a good addition.
Mhm.
People can contact anybody through their
There's shops on
email
there now.
number.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly.
And so, before we run out of time, we have like 3 minutes left. I wanted to ask you those two last important questions that maybe you remember me asking you was compared to like where you're at right now. What is something you wish you would have done when you first got started?
I wish I would have been more open to learning new things when I first started out. Mostly the reasoning for that is you can learn anything, anytime, anywhere right now,
Yeah.
thanks to smart devices. Yeah, you can take 5 minutes out of your day to learn one new thing that you didn't know yesterday. For me, when I first started out doing only videos, I had no idea that I had already put myself into a really small market. And what I should have done was instead of getting a video cameras, I should have just got a DSLR because they do videos also. Um, so I kind of started not at the wrong foot, but like I started off already like hindered because I
You got a
already
plan.
like yeah, and I narrowed my focus down to just only videos versus what I focus on now is just everything, photos, videos, um, and anything else I can get under there.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and if I could go back and tell myself one thing, I would say jump into online marketing first.
Yeah.
Get into that first because that's gonna be the
Your bigger market.
real like lifesaver and the ultimately what it comes down to is having like a baseline clientele that are gonna be able to help you pay your bills every month.
Yeah.
You can have your 5 or 10 clients a month that are gonna cover, your lifestyle. What it ultimately comes down to is how do you want to live your life, and providing services for other people that are willing to pay for it is a good way, is a good foundation for a lot of businesses. Is how can I help my neighbor, or how can I help, this other business that's having a hard time.
Yeah.
And it comes back to the online presence thing. Online marketing, I would say if I could start again, I would do that instead.
Yeah.
mostly because of the time that I took learning. Like it was a slow process. I'll give it that, but because of how long it's been and how slow it was, a lot of that memory, it's able to be held on to a lot longer.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, if the one thing I could go back to tell myself is get started on online marketing, get started on talking to businesses. Don't worry about helping people achieve their dreams, because making movies for somebody else is not as fun as working for yourself, and
Yeah.
getting your um like getting the directions, or not really directions, like being a producer and director is already hard enough. To find somebody else who's going to be your producer
Hmm.
is a lot easier, and then you can direct. Um, Mostly because the producer is involved with budgeting and
Hmm.
planning. So if you have your clients that are willing to pay you for your work, that's definitely a lot better than waiting for that one person who has the right idea, who wants to pay you for a movie that ultimately might not even be seen by anybody.
Right.
I've seen a lot of people that will post their work, that they're looking for. What is it called? They'll do the casting calls, and
Yeah.
then they'll have like a year where they're working on this project, and it's like another year goes by, and
Hmm.
another year goes by, and
It
it's
just
like,
matters
well,
about the workforce you put in. Yeah.
yeah, and that's what's been tough. Like I realized that after I got started, is that to find a crew that you can trust, that you can work well
Who's
with
committed?
together.
Yeah.
Yeah, and especially that it is so hard. I'm not gonna lie, I have not found one single person since I've been doing this that I can rely on, that I can depend on.
Yeah.
But that's another downside to working by yourself. You have to outsource. You have to be able to look for what you
Mhm.
need in somebody else. And
As an entrepreneur, like you have to be willing to have everything, like all the workforce on you, and you're
mhm,
reliable for everything. You're responsible for everything. And so
yep, and you
eventually,
have to
yeah,
be
you will
willing
build your
to
team.
accept those the downsides too.
Yeah.
If you don't take a, I like to call it, if you can't take a hit, it's hard to keep fighting when you got the wind knocked out of you, because you're still trying to like gasp for air when you don't understand what's going on. So
Yeah.
it's one of those things where I would highly recommend, if you're into just doing photos or just doing videos right now, to dabble into online marketing. You'll be able to expand your clientele, your work, um, to different levels that you probably wouldn't have thought before.
Yeah.
Especially right now, it's a world market. You can work from home and anywhere else. The problem is when it comes to making content for somebody who wants their own content and they want you to travel, you gotta really work it out. It's all about negotiating, to
Especially
negotiating a
now.
really
Yeah.
good deal. Yeah.
Hmm. Well, Danny, I mean, I appreciate all the information you gave to us. Everything was very informative. I learned a lot. Like there's a lot of things that I'm gonna implement what you talked about into our brand too, because we're doing the same thing almost. Um, but yeah, I mean, is there anything else that you would like to share before I let you go?
Oh, I guess the last question, unless I answered that one for you.
Well, there would be that piece of advice that you would give to anybody starting the same path as you.
Okay.
Yeah. So what would that be?
I would recommend learning as much as you can. If you're into just one thing right now, even if it's online marketing, just honing your skills, keep learning.
Hmm.
Every day is a new day. You have every day to learn something new.
And like we mentioned in the beginning, like just experiment, just try out different avenues. I think that's
Yeah.
what's going to let you know exactly not just what you want to do, but more about yourself as well. Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Mhm.
Exactly.
And so also where can people go and contact you, find your work, see more
Well,
about
right now, my main source of showing my portfolio is Instagram at Real D86. I also have my Facebook link to that is Daniel Photo Camp, where I have some
you?
of
Mhm.
my other work on there. I
Yeah.
also have the businesses and people tagged, so that you can take a look at what's going on their end.
Mhm.
Um, I don't know, but otherwise, that's about all I
And another thing I just thought about right now is like another thing that people need to get if they're gonna go into like building a online marketing business is testimonies. Like getting
Big time.
referrals. Yeah. Hmm.
Yes, for sure. You need at least one. You got to have at least one good referral. That way, if those people ever need to make a contact or just to ask a question or whatever,
You
you at
have
least
that.
have that one. One is better than none.
Yeah.
Uh,
Exactly. No, yeah, I'm for that. Yeah. Well, Danny, I'm gonna let you go, but I appreciate you being on the show. I loved it. I love this episode. This episode is really cool. But I will
yeah,
catch
it's a
you.
great time.
Yeah, I'll catch you later, man. I'll see you later.
Alrighty, have a good
All
night.
right, you too.
Thank
Bye
you.
bye.
Bye.